When you do too much, you get less done. So, quick story. When years ago, my dad owned a furniture store. Growing up, that was my job. Think about this. Think about how bad you hate helping somebody move, what excuses you will come up with, the number of dead grandmas that suddenly crop up. But that was my thing every day. I was helping somebody move. And a very specific day, it was slow. Customers weren't coming in. It was raining outside. The sales folks always got this bright idea that they could sell more if the furniture was rearranged. That was causing them to be able, not to be able to sell. Poor furniture arrangement. That just meant the delivery guys had to now do what they called an apple turnover. It's apple turnover, gang. That just meant y'all were going to sit around and point and tell us what to do, how to do. My dad promised me, look, if you get this done, we'll let you go home early. Nothing going on around here. We'll pay you for a full day. Great. So started out, it was just me. I had little slidey furniture movie things you can put under, a heavy dresser drawers or chests. So just me. I was slow but steady progress. I was moving, one sofa at a time, adjusting the rug that went with it, making sure everything got done. It took me a little while, so I thought, man, I'm going to go grab Earl. Now, Earl was a 65-year-old dude from Chicago, as he used to say, and he could work circles around any of us. It was, the man had boundless energy, which was great most of the time, but sometimes it could also cause an accident or two. But that's when things really picked up. So me and Earl were picking things up, we're moving them around, we're clearing space, we're rotating. Pretty good. Well, I think we had moved like 13 pieces of furniture in about half the time. Big improvement. Yay, me. So in order to make things go even faster, I decided now we're going to add Tim. Now, Tim's more of a driver, more of a talker too, but whatever, it's still helpful. But as I figured out, it was just kind of a little less so. So we moved, I think it was like 19 pieces of furniture in the same amount of time, which is good, but you can kind of see that progress started to dip a little bit. We're moving more, but it's kind of chaotic. So either way, I'm a kid. I don't realize this. So I think, man, we got 3. Would help if we had 4. So I went and got Frank. Frank was a dude that was close to my age, literally only 2-3 years older, but already had he was already a grown up. I was still in and out of college at that point. He was married with a house full of kids. This is where things really started to go south because there's 2 of us. So the showroom starts to get a little crowded. We're starting to bump into each other. We start to argue a little bit, and we moved more, but only like a couple of more pieces than if it had just been like me and Earl. Never to be dissuaded. I go grab a 5th dude, Uncle Craig, my uncle, who used to repair VCRs. That tells you how long ago this was. And Uncle Craig was not into moving furniture. He eventually became a delivery truck driver. He wasn't real helpful with the pickup. So this is where things really started to fall off the wagon. People are arguing. There's stuff's not really moving. And we got less done than when it was just me and Earl. So the moral of that story is when you do too much, you just get less done. You get what is called the Law of Diminishing Returns. And you see this, you see it in a lot of different ways. You can read case studies on it. It's a lot of discussion when you talk about manufacturing. But let me give you a quick breakdown. I'm going to give you some everyday examples of what that looks like. I'm going to give you a client of mine that did that. I'm going to give you examples of how you're doing it, and then I'm going to tell you how not to do it. The key point is when you do too much, you get less done. Practical example. Let's say you're seasoning food and it's Traeger season for me. I love putting food on the smoker. I have this tendency to over-season food sometimes, as my wife and kids have said politely. Adding a pinch of salt, a little garlic powder, a little onion powder, and then once you get into, bet cumin would be good. I'll bet adding more pepper, and at some point, we have over-seasoned. We have done too much. Parenting is a good example. Oh my God, the number of examples I could easily give you right now. And you see this quite a bit. So we'll dip down. My youngest plays football, basketball, Lane, 12 years old. And I'm starting to see a lot of the coaches from football, from basketball, from, just strength training are wanting us to do more specialized training. But I can already see where other parents have done that, and you get the law of diminishing returns because the kid is overtrained, the kid is exhausted, baseball players at 12 years old that need Tommy John's surgery to fix their pitching arms because they've already overdone it. And worse yet, kids that will quit as they are in the 10th or 11th grade because they have done too much. Used to work at ServPro, a fire and water cleanup company, and I would train these brand new franchise owners on a wide variety of their business, whether it was marketing, management, financial, but all the way down to how do you actually clean stuff. And we had this saying amongst the franchisees that a little chemicals would be good. A lot of chemicals must be great. Not true. You can overdo cleaning a carpet. If you add too much cleaning product, it now takes you twice as long because you have to extract every single bit of it, or you've left the product in the carpet, causes damage, makes it actually get dirtier. Too much was not a good thing. And I am certainly glad that I am also married and not trying to date right now. Fun fact, when I was a teen, I had the tendency to, bless my dumb little sweet country heart, run girls off because I would get so excited. Yeah, I was that kid. Now, I was reasonably popular, but I always had to have a girlfriend. I don't know, I'm sure therapists could have a field day there. But as I would get one, then I would start showering her with gifts and sending her notes and calling too much. And eventually she said, ugh, that's enough. So if I had that now with a ability to text, I'd have been done. Luckily, I managed to play it cool with my wife, and now she can't get away from me. Those are just obvious examples. A client of mine, I remember years ago, I was a financial advisor, and he had been with his firm for like 10 years, built up a portfolio, and he decided it was time to strike out on his own. Great. And he had signed a non-compete, but his clients could still follow him if they wanted to. And he had set a launch day, which was like 3 months away. And here Parkinson's law kicks in. Parkinson's law is whatever amount of time or budget you set for something, that is exactly how much you will need plus some in order to accomplish the project. And he struggled with all of the details. Oh my Lord. He couldn't figure out where he wanted his website built, and he come up with 18 different names. And he's like a lot of financial advisors where they kept trying to combine two words that don't go together. I wanted the word integrity, but fiduciary to be in the title. Fiduciary and credit. Like, no, don't, please, for the love of God, don't do that. Wanted the right images, but they had to be stock images, and they needed to be a beacon or a compass or the same thing that everybody else had. And all these intricacies and a lot of things that, quite frankly, didn't matter that much. And I know every web designer just listening actually fell over, but you get my point. His focus should have been on, getting new clients, getting speaking engagements, knocking down doors, going through his centers of influence. It took him forever. He finally launched. He was behind, and then when he finally did go, he was behind the 8 ball. So for you, what do you and I do that we do too much of? Think about any time you create your own content. We love to now over-edit everything, and we have AI awesomeness everywhere, and it can do so much. So we AI an image, and we don't like it. We spend 45 minutes trying to make sure that nobody sees that the person in the the smiling person in the photo has 6 fingers instead of 5. Or we will over-edit a single post that someone will scroll through immediately to make sure it looks like we wrote it instead of chat, which is fine. But we spend hours on end over-editing the website copy, the email we're going to send. We have to just go. Checking email obsessively. If you find that you have checked email more than 3 to 4 times in a day, you've checked it too much. And there's a little dopamine hit we get every time when we look at our email, and it gives us a new to-do because that takes us out of having to think of something else. We have it laid out for us. And if you don't believe you're checking your email too much, go into your browser history at some point and look through whatever you're using. If it's Outlook and it's standalone, that'll be more difficult. For any of the rest of it, if you're Gmail, it'll tattle on you very quickly. We overdo our social media presence. We overdo our internet research. I'm bad about this, by the way. I've started keeping like a little list of things that next to my desk instead of Googling every silly thing in my head. I will now write it down because if at the end of the day I really am interested in, I will look it up at that point. And most of the time, I just throw that list away. I don't even remember why I wrote it down. But every time you check something that derails you, and it takes you 23 minutes, according to a lot of research, to retain and get back to the first area of focus. And then lastly, we overdo micromanaging others. When we finally get that virtual assistant, that contractor, that employee, we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust them. We give them a litany of tasks. We don't train them. We don't show them how to do it. And we hover over their shoulders and eventually take it away from them. Doing too much means you get less done. So what should you do? A saying that I love is done is better than perfect. And I'm sure you've heard that perfect is the enemy of progress. Reminds me of a book Seth Godin wrote, The Dip. In The Dip, he coined this kind of phrase, ship it. Ship, S-H-I-P. Make sure you understand what I'm saying there. To understand the importance of completion over perfection. 80% done or 80% right is always better to me than chasing 99% perfection. And I know you can always come up with an exception to the rule because that's why people use me, because I'm perfect. Said none of your clients ever. You've got to get to a point where we can say done is enough. This is good enough. I now have to ship it. And I know most of you listening, watching, you're not into the widget game, but let's say you're a coach. Let's say you're a digital marketing consultant. You're an interior designer. You're a financial advisor. You're an insurance agent. You're a fitness coach. Whatever the case may be, you have to get to a point where we're done editing the podcast. We are done creating the landing page. We are done trying to find the perfect solution for the client when the 80% one is what they asked for in the first place. So number one, set a deadline. Time-bound tasks get things done. It creates a sense of urgency. Even right now, I am speaking. I've got a clock, my watch set here so I don't make this podcast too long. That's the Pomodoro technique, by the way, is where you will set a timer. And I know that's a little more than what most folks want, but if you're having difficulty, do that. Next, start small. If your fear of just making these big mistakes or is just, any mistake that you see, and the client would never see, your coworkers would never see, your employees would never see, if that's crippling to you, feel free to make a mistake. I've done this before with social posts where I see a mistake in there. I've done it with email marketing where I saw, it's a grammatical error. I misspelled definitely again. Why it has so many I's instead of more E's and A's, I don't know. But I just let it ride. And I think nobody saw it. And the one or two people that might have saw it, if they were really offended by it, we probably didn't need to be working together. So start small. And if you see a mistake, let it go. And then come back later to see what happened. And then, feel free to allow yourself to eliminate some of the tasks. Number 3, eliminate, automate, or delegate a few things, and then let it go. Try that as an experiment for 1 week. If you have things you're worrying over, you're obsessing about a proposal that you think just has to get done correctly, let somebody else do it. Automate or use chat to rewrite it. Let it be imperfect and then ship it and see what happens. And then lastly, just kind of keep your eyes on the big picture, folks. You're doing whatever you're doing for 2 reasons. You want to help other people. You want to serve others. We always love this self-aggrandizing self-leadership. You want to serve other people, right? That's why you started doing your business. That's why you're helping people with their long-term future, their retirement, their insurance need, their growing their business, getting them into the best shape possible, whatever your business is, creating the perfect landing page. But the second thing is you're doing this for your freedom as well. Over obsessing and doing too much means you're getting less done. You get the law of diminishing returns. You're not helping anybody else. So those are the four quick things. Set a deadline, start small. Number 3, eliminate, automate, maybe even delegate. Number 4, just keep your eye on the big picture of why you're doing this to begin with. If you don't do this and you don't find a stopping point, you're going to be in a sea of busyness forever, and you will be frustrated, and you'll consider just giving this up altogether. But if you do it, you're going to do more by doing less, and you're going to be happy and more focused. As for me and Earl, we figured out real quick the next time we did apple turnover, we just needed me and him. And as for you, this is the call to action section, folks. Look, I don't talk enough about this. There is a community that I have at this point. We have time freedom community for people who want to work on their business instead of in it, for people that don't want to do too much. They want to get more done in less time. They want to spend time with family, friends, and doing other things they love. It's one of the most fun things I've ever done. We have coaching calls. If you're unable to make it, we record it. We have a Facebook page where we all get together, and all that's fine. That's the details. The bigger thing is, I'm seeing progress in this group. I am, got an entrepreneurial coach who has an event center who's growing her business. I see a mom with homeschool kids who's freeing up time as a digital marketer and still making the same level of revenue. I got another coach / consultant marketing guy in the group who is reaching record revenue levels and has better cash flow than ever before. This is what I want for you. So find me, LinkedIn, or go to yourcharlesalexander.com, and let's get you on a track of not doing too much so you can get more done.